Welcome back to the Lockwood Chronicles. My name is Larissa, and today we are going over my June reading wrap-up. Hello, my friends. Well, let's just get right into it. I'm going to go over some stats for the month. I'll tell you what I thought about all the books that I read. I read 7 books this month. My average rating was 3.64. Again, I don't read a book if it's less than 3 stars. My page count was 2,667 books. Pages. 2,667 pages. 6 of them were physical books, but I did pair a lot with the audiobooks too. And then 1 was strictly just audiobook. Genre breakdown was 4 romances, 1 thriller, 1 general literature fiction, and 1 fantasy. I actually took time and wrote a few notes so I would actually remember what the heck I was talking about, because when I went back to look at the first book that I read this month, I was like, there's no way. It felt very weird because I'm like, I feel like I read that so long ago. I think it's because I started reading it at the end of May. So the first book that I read this month was Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, a dual POV between Vanessa and Adrian. Vanessa is a travel vlogger who has just been awarded custody of her newborn niece after her sister is struggling with addiction. Her family, Vanessa's family, is also quite toxic, and there's a lot of issues presenting themselves in it. And not only that, is the women in Vanessa's family on her mother's side not make it to 30 years old, and Vanessa is 29. So she's dealing with mortality issues and trying to live life to the fullest while also making sure that she has a backup plan for her niece and also going through all her familial issues, because there is a lot of them. Adrian is a lawyer this takes place in Minneapolis or St. Paul. It takes place in the Twin Cities, so that's what makes me so happy, because that's where Abby Jimenez is, and so it just makes me so happy anytime a book takes place in Minnesota. Adrian is a really good lawyer in the cities, but he also owns the apartment complex that he and Vanessa live in, and Vanessa is his neighbor. They fall into this friendship, and they both don't want anything serious. 1, because Vanessa knows her mortality, and 2, Adrian just got out of something. They don't want a relationship, but obviously there's some tension and chemistry there. I absolutely loved Adrian. He had his faults. There was a few things where I was like, Adrian, calm down, but they were also reasonable. I really loved their relationship, all the issues that they worked through, and everything that was provided by them. And I really had a great time reading this. I thought it was so fun. And it's always fun to see a vlogger, and that wasn't the main scope of it though. She barely touched on it. I was giggling, I cried a little bit. The ending, I'm still unsure on how I feel about it. It's a good ending. I just have very conflicted feelings with it. Highly enjoyed. The second book that I read was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I make my way through her backlist, baby! This is regarding Lauren and Ryan, and they decide to separate, take it to the extreme, and not have any contact for an entire year, instead of, going to couples therapy to solve and hopefully save their marriage. So they go no contact. Lauren realizes that she has been with Ryan. They've both been with each other since they were 19 years old or something like that. They were very, very young. They met in college, and you see that progression to how they first met, to a couple of years into their relationship, to them becoming actual full-fledged adults, and down the line too. And now they're, I think, in their 30s or just around there. They absolutely despise each other and can't stand to be around each other. It's just not working for them. Primarily follow Lauren. That's who our POV is. I really love the exploration of finding oneself. I really love those kind of books. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid did a really, really great job. This book was so quotable. I think if I would have been going through a breakup at this point, it would have really helped me heal. In that aspect, if you like to relate, a good choice. There was so many great quotes in this book. I absolutely love her writing. It's very movie-esque in my mind, even though it's very mundane. I love the progression of the story. I loved her reconnecting with herself and finding out what her needs are. Familial aspect as well, and life goes on, and her realizing that and coming into her own. I really love the ending of this. I thought it was so well done. Yeah, I just really love this ending. And this could have, I think I would have loved the ending either way it went. Then we got into Not in Love by Ellie Hazelwood. This is an erotic romance, so it's very different than her previous works. Still feminist coded, which we love. Rue, she works in a lab, and Eli is, I think it's called a hedge fund, but his company is coming in to take over Klein Industries. So their company buys out the loan that Klein had with a different company or something like that. That line of work is not necessarily looked as a positive thing. Rue and Eli met on a dating app for just hookups. They wanted a one-night stand because that's all Rue deals with. But they did not know each other and the relationship that they would be having at the workplace. Something happens the night that they're supposed to hook up, and it doesn't proceed as planned. So when she goes into work the next day and sees Eli there saying like, oh, he's one of the guys that's taking over the company, she's like, did he know? This is dual POV between Rue and Eli, but the thing is, Rue's POV is in first person and Eli's POV is in third person. I didn't necessarily like that aspect. I wish they would have both just been in first person. That would have been preferable, or just both been in third person. That was odd to me. It was definitely more physical, which she says at the beginning, and it definitely was. I wish we would have gotten to dive in a little more deeply with their issues that drove them to be the way that they are. It was very physical, and I think we could have like nixed a couple of those scenes out for a more deeper conversation. It could just be the fact of an artistic choice of being like, take people as they are. You're not going to know their whole history, and you're just dealing with what they have and are presenting now. Lovely if that was the intention. I just selfishly wanted a little bit more in depth. Then the fourth book we have is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and if you're unfamiliar with the series, it is 3 brothers who have to fulfill their grandfather's will. Their grandfather has passed, and he has left them tasks in order for them to receive their inheritance, which is a percentage of Dreamland as well as money inheritance. And Dreamland is Disneyland. You know, copyright issues. But yes, Dreamland is pretty much Disneyland. It's a theme amusement park, and they have a lot of other things. So like Disney Plus, but it's like Dreamland Plus or something like that, whatever it is. Callahan and Alana. And Callahan needs to go and sell the lake house that is in this small town in Lake Town, and Alana is there, but she is under the impression that she owns the house. It's very much small town vibes. It is dual POV between Cal and Alana, and there are some issues with dealing with addiction and some childhood trauma. It's the chunkier. Lauren Asher is starting to get chunkier books now. I really, really liked it. I still think the second book is probably my favorite, and I really like the first one as well. This one's probably my least favorite. However, there were some touching moments in there. There's that. And I love seeing the past characters of these books in this one. I love when we get to just see them. It makes me so happy. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I did end up listening to this one on audiobook, and wow, you guys, so good. I loved the audiobook production of this. It was amazing. There was a full cast. There were sound effects. It just felt like you were listening to a documentary. It's a podcast, Netflix documentary, as well as like book format, and it was done so beautifully. I absolutely loved that setup of it. This is a psychological thriller, and it's quite unsettling. I don't really want to go into it too much, but the premise is Josie and Alex are birthday twins. They were born on the same day, same year, at the same hospital. And Alex has a podcast where she interviews women who have become successful in their life after really struggling to get up there and just their motivating factors. Josie approaches Alex and suggests that Alex do series on her, who is in the midst of life-changing events. It's very unsettling and quite unhinged. That's all I'm gonna leave you with. Oh my gosh. Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. Finally getting it off my TBR. I highly enjoy Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology in the summertime too, so this was a great time to read this. I'm so glad that I did. And this is Women in Greek Mythology. Ariadne is part of Theseus and the Minotaur. Also like the tale of Ariadne, Theseus, Phaedra, and Dionysus. And it is regarding a lot of sisterhood. The quote that I repeated many times in the reading vlog that just really sums this up is, "The truth of womanhood, however blameless a life we led, the passions and the greed of men could bring us to ruin, and there was nothing we could do about it." It's very much like more feminist retelling of Ariadne and her point of view, because we only ever really see Theseus's point of view with the labyrinth and the Minotaur, and that is a very, very small smidge of this book. This primarily deals with what happens after that. The growth of two girls becoming women, how they navigate the world and thoughts, and especially in a world where men rule. Oh, the patriarchy. But also like the fun fact of gods and greed and power. And girlies just want a girl. There's like lots of cult vibes in here too. I'm really happy I finally got to this one, and I can't wait to check out other Jennifer Saint books. And then, you guys, I did it. The last book that I read this month was The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young, and I said I was going to read this so many times since I've gotten it, and I was like, I'm going to save it for June because it says June in it. I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad I got to it at the end of June. I don't want to like go into this too much, but so June is our main person we're following, and the women of the Farrow family are cursed, and they kind of go into madness. I would say the vibes of this are very like deja vu like, and it's kind of a murder mystery. I really enjoyed this. I also partially listened to the audiobook, and the narrator did a great job. She even had like a little southern twang to her, not like in a way you couldn't understand, but just a little bit of a hint of southern to it. It made me feel more immersed in the story. The one complaint that I had was like June gets a lot of panic attacks, and it just kept happening, and she kept running, and I'm like, girly, people are trying to explain things to you. Just, I get it on one hand, but on the other hand, she didn't do what she was told. And it made things so much worse. I was very surprised at how much I loved this book. I read it in 2 days. Again, I did pair it with the audiobook. I just had such a good time with it. A really good summer read, I feel like. So these are the books that I read in the month of June. I had a fun reading month, and even though it got a little chaotic towards the end, loved it. I just had such a blast reading some new releases, and majority of my backlist TBR, which have been on my shelves for so long, and I'm so happy to just finally be really chugging through that, because I just really love reading new releases. The further I get away from my backlist TBR, the less likely I am to read it. So I'm glad I got a good chunk of those done this month. Let me know what your favorite read of June was. I would love to hear it in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these types of videos or reading vlogs or any other bookish content. Stick around, hang out. And with that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye!